Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys hanging with me for a little bit and checking out the video. And guys, today we're going to be talking about reel settings. I want to go over specifically on how to adjust the tension on your reel and how to adjust your drag, because man, I tell you what, just watching guys fish and everything, it seems like to me I see a lot of people that do not have their drag set correctly and they don't have their tension set correctly, which can cause issues, several different types of issues we're going to go over in today's video. And I think it's going to definitely make you guys a lot more efficient with your casting and, landing fish after we get done with this video. And also, guys, real quick, speaking of reels, if you guys are looking for an awesome freaking Baitcast reel, check this out, guys. This is that Lews Custom Pro. I absolutely love this thing. You've been hearing me talking about it. I've been fishing it since last fall. I have yet to backlash at one time. 11 ball bearings, super smooth, good price on it. I got mine at Tackle Warehouse. I'll put this reel in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video. And if you guys would like to order one of these Lews Custom Pro reels through my link, it's a good way to support the channel. Really appreciate that. And also, guys, real quick, we are super close to getting the private live stream set up for my channels here. If you guys are interested in being part of the private live stream, this is going to be available to channel members and Patreon members. So just click that join button on the home page of of the Fishing Teacher here, and go into the description of the video or sign up for a Patreon, and you can be part of that live stream. Probably going to start it within the next week or two, so really appreciate that. Okay, guys, let's get into the adjustments here, what you want to do with it. First of all, let's talk about the spool adjustments as far as setting the tension on your line, as far as how fast it comes down, or how slow or how fast it comes off the spool. Now, this has a lot to do with your ability to control backlashes and to make the distance of your casting. Because one of the things about it, if you set it a little bit too tight, say for example, you got this thing, you got your adjustment here set too tight, when you push the free spool, like I just did right there, the line's not going to move at all. You don't really want that, because that's going to limit your casting distance. But on the other hand, you don't want to back it off so much to when you push that free spool, it just starts going super fast. That's going to, cause you a lot more backlashes. So here's what you want to do. Here's a good rule of thumb on adjusting. And you need to readjust this based upon the weight of the lure that you're using. So let's say, for example, I've got here's one of my jigs on here. This is the 3/8 ounce right here. What you want is you want to adjust this tension here to when you push the button, your jig falls about probably, 1 foot like that every, 2 or 3 seconds. Just about like that. That's about perfect for it. And therefore, if you have it drop, 1 foot every 2 or 3 seconds, or maybe 1 foot every 2 seconds, that's going to be a good balance of allows you to have some really good casting distance, and you're not going to get many backlashes with that. And obviously, this is something that you have to tweak and adjust based upon, the profile of the bait and the size of it. If you go down to 1/4 ounce or so, you're going to have to loosen it up a little bit. And if you go to a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait or something like that, you may have to tighten it up a little bit, but that's one important thing with it. Okay, now the next one is the drag setting on this. The drag setting, which is usually, you got your star drag here. This is going to determine, how easy or how difficult it is for a line to come off the spool like this. Now, this is a little bit more complex thing, because there's a lot of different things you need to take in consideration here. First of all, I don't ever rely on a drag with my Baitcast reel. The same with the spinning reel. For me, basically, guys, I could just lock a drag down and never need one, because I free spool. So what I do in my situation, and if you're not real skilled with this, it's probably a little bit more difficult, but it is the best way. Let's say, for example, I'm throwing a crankbait or something, and I get a fish on, and I'm fighting the fish to the boat, and I can tell it's a pretty good fish and it wants to take some line. I'll just push my thumb bar like that, and I can control how much line the fish takes with my thumb. So I can put a bare minimum amount of pressure on it, or I can put a lot of pressure on it, and everything in between based upon the variables like the line size I'm using, the type of hooks, if it's like a light wire treble hook, or if it's a heavy flipping hook or something like that, the line size that I'm using, all that type of stuff factors into it. So let's say, for example, we're fishing a jerkbait or a crankbait that's got some little wire hooks in it. And I'm fighting this fish in, and I see the fish jump, and I can see there's one barb in the fish right here. Now, in a situation like that, I've got to put the minimum amount of pressure. So what I'll do is that if any time that fish takes a little bit of line, I'll just push that thumb bar and I'll let that fish take that line, and I won't put much pressure on it. I don't want to put pressure on it because there's one barb in there. But if I've got like 25-pound test fluorocarbon and a flipping stick and a big jig, I'm still going to have that thumb bar ready to go if it's a big fish. But most of the time, if it's a fish under 5 pounds and you got 25-pound line, you're not even going to need any drag at all. You got enough force just to bring it in with that bigger, single hook on it. So it's something that you sort of have to get a feel for it on the lure category and the hook size. Now this can range vastly based upon the diameter of the treble hook you're using, or the gap of the treble hook, or the worm hook, and that type of thing. But the best piece of advice I can give you on this, guys, is learn how to thumb bar. This is critical right here. Once you learn how to thumb bar, you're never going to rely on a drag again, because a drag, you cannot rely on it as far as the exact amount of tension you need, because you don't know. You don't know how that fish is hooked. So you're basically setting the drag most of the time based upon your pound test line. That's one thing with it. Now, another time that I actually do rely on a drag sometimes is during the hook set, because if I'm fishing a light wire hook or something like that, I want to set the drag pretty light when I'm fishing it, because a lot of times when I pull into that bait on a crankbait, sometimes I want it to slip just a little bit. I don't want it to lock in there on a light diameter worm hook. So sometimes I'll put it a little bit lighter, and once I hook the fish, I may tighten it up a little bit and continue to thumb bar. And on the other end of the spectrum, if I'm flipping and pitching heavy line, I'm going to lock that drag down pretty tight, because when I set the hook, I do not want any slippage. So in other words, if you have a single hook lure that requires force for penetration, you want to put that drag pretty tight. But if you're using a treble hook lure with a very small diameter hooks, you don't need that power for penetration. The hook's going to do it itself, so you can back it off a little bit. And like I said, factors like line size comes in along with lure weight, so it's something you just sort of have to practice with. But again, guys, best piece of advice I'll give you on both a spinning outfit and a bait caster: do not rely on the drag and do not use the drag. Back reel on a spinning reel, push your thumb bar on a bait cast reel, keep that drag tight, and you're going to land a lot more fish, from the time you hook them to the time you get them in the boat. It's just something I've experimented with forever, and it definitely works really good for me. So hope it helps you guys out too.